I'm Vicki Marquez, a food lover, wellness expert, certified health coach, plant-based chef, and author. And I'm here to show you how to nourish your life from the inside out. With my veggie-licious recipes and healthy how-tos, I'll give you all the wellness tools and tips that you need to eat better, feel better, and live better.
Hello everyone, welcome to PHTV Channel 4 in Palos Heights. I'm Sue Jankowski and we are here with Nourished. In this program, which we've been bringing to you about every month, we meet with our good friend Vicki Marquez. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you for coming.
We're actually in her house again today like we were a time or two ago. We're going to be doing some cooking here, and we're going to be giving you some great ideas to feed yourself well so that you can feel better, eat better, and live better. I got it.
She's got it.
But before we get started, you may remember that Vicki has a whole program for children called the Rootlets. And it's kind of exciting because we want our children to eat well, and we want to encourage them to eat, vegetables and, fruits and things as well. But it really kind of focuses more on vegetables, which is really, if you have kids, you know how hard it is to get them interested in vegetables sometimes. And really exciting, Vicki has come out with a new book. She had one book. This is her second book. It's here. Vicki, tell our viewers a little bit about this book now.
Yeah, so this is the Rootlets, second book of the series. It's called Trouble at Fantasyland. And in book one, which was Super Root Abilities, the Rootlets, who are veggie-haired superheroes, they learned that they had superpowers, and now they have to start using those powers to face the bad guys. So it's a really fun story. It's not a preachy story. It's an enjoyable story about friendship and mystery and magic. And of course adventure, and what these little guys have to encounter now that they're superheroes. So
it's fun. The illustrations are really fun, and it looks like a book that actually, if you have really little ones, you can sit down with it a couple of times here and there and kind of go through the story and talk about it. I think they'll really enjoy it. And then along with the book, there's something else you've got.
Yeah,
cooking.
so this is another product that we have with the Rootlets. It's the Fantasyland puzzle, and it's super fun. It looks very little, but it's actually a 12 by 18 inch puzzle. It's good size, so it's great for all ages. And this kind of shows Fantasyland, which is their amusement park that's in trouble, before it's in trouble. So you can see the rides and the glory of the merry-go-round and the Spud Junction train ride and all of the cool fruits and veggies that are at the park before trouble comes and destroys the park. So
sounds good. How can our viewers get a hold of one of these books?
So you can get the books right now on our website, which is www.therootlets.com, and that's The Rootlets, TheRootlets.com. And you can get the book on Amazon. The puzzle's exclusive to our site. But yeah, you can get it there, and or you can email me. I have copies here, so if you're local to the Chicagoland area, I'm happy to ship some out as well. So.
That's great. This is kind of thinking holidays. Sometimes you're looking for something that kids, grandkids, your nieces or nephews wouldn't have, and they wouldn't have this, and you'd be doing something fun for them. And by watching our program today, you can actually cook with them and cook something really good, and I think they're going to really enjoy what we're going to be making today. It's kind of fun and different. We've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so you can get some ideas that way.
Started, yeah.
All right.
And one thing I want to mention about the Rootlets, if you are to go to the Rootlets website as a viewer of Channel 4, if you enter the code I love trouble, all one word, we'll put it at the bottom of the screen for you, you can take 30% off your entire order.
Wow.
So get your Christmas shopping done early, get the stocking stuffers, they're great sizes for that, and enjoy a little discount on top of it. So
that's a great benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Vicki.
Of course.
Well, good luck with these. I think
you.
This is a great thing for kids to learn about. The sooner the better, really, so they can be healthy, grow up healthy.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a fun story. Kids are going to learn about a lot of different fruits and veggies, but in a very fun superhero way. So
yeah, good.
What kid doesn't love superheroes, right?
Especially now. I mean, they're all over the place.
I know.
So, yeah, and with the fall season, everybody dressing up. I saw a lot of superhero, kids wherever you go.
Yeah, the
right.
costumes.
Yeah.
And you can totally dress up as one of the rootlets for Halloween. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Brock is an easy one. You just need a big green wig for your broccoli hair.
Hey, I was at the store shopping, and I thought, wow, they've come such a long way with costumes right now. They might have a broccoli head somewhere
They
because
might.
They have so many really interesting things.
Absolutely.
They had a hot dog head, so maybe they got a broccoli head somewhere.
I hope so. All right, well, let's get started. So as Sue mentioned, today we are doing Power Bowls. And Power Bowls are one of my favorite meals. They're a go-to in my house. It's very similar to a salad, but you're going to use grains as the base of the dish. And so I love them because they're easy, they're inexpensive, they're so adaptable. You can use any ingredients that you have on hand, leftovers. It's just that possibilities are endless, and we'll talk about that. And they're really filling and nutrient dense. So it's a great, easy way to pull together a meal and get a bunch of nutrients in. And they're super trendy right now, which is kind of fun. You'll see them at a lot of the health food stores. Even Whole Foods has their own little section of Power Bowls. So they're super fun. I call them no recipe recipes because, again, it's really about using whatever and as much or as little of something as you like. And the cool thing about it is, for those of you guys who are completely not familiar with a Power Bowl at all, one thing that I did do is I put together a basic formula to create the perfect Power Bowl. And that's going to be a base plus a protein plus toppings plus sauce equals your perfect Power Bowl.
And by Power Bowl, you mean something filled with all the vitamins and minerals and things that get you started for the day,
right?
Or, get you through lunchtime or whatever.
Yep. So it's loaded with fiber and vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. They're all going to be plant-based. You're getting a lot of phytonutrients, which are the good plant nutrients. And just like our little rootlets have their superpowers from their veggie hair, this food, plant-based food, it really gives us superpowers to do, have more energy and to do more things. So that's exactly what I mean by Power Bowl. You might have heard the term Buddha Bowl or a Super Bowl or even a Grain Bowl. They have different names, but they're essentially the same thing. So I call them Power Bowl because they power me through the day.
That's a good name.
And starting with the most important meal of the day, which is breakfast. So we're going to just use that basic formula and kind of flip it around a little bit here. And that formula, along with all of these no recipe recipes, you can get from the station. You can get at my website, VickiMarquez.com, and it'll have all of what we're cooking here today with some variations and that formula laid out with different topping ideas, sauce ideas, so you can kind of pick and choose and not have to think so hard. So
very good.
You can get all of that on the site.
Good.
But let's get started with breakfast. Now, we're going to start with a Quinoa Pumpkin Porridge bowl for breakfast. And this is really my take on overnight oats. And overnight oats are basically oats that you prepare the night before and you keep them in the refrigerator, and when you wake up, you have breakfast ready. So we're going to do a quinoa, I should say that we are going to use one ingredient for all three of our bowls today. So we're going to focus on quinoa. And just to talk a little bit about this, if you're not familiar with quinoa, quinoa is actually a seed. Most people think it's a whole grain, but it is actually a seed. And I chose quinoa because it's one of the quickest cooking grains out there. It's a complete plant-based protein, so it's got all 9 essential amino acids. It's got so much fiber, and I love it because it's gluten-free and really easy to digest. So it works with pretty much any diet. I selected the tri-color because I think it's gorgeous.
It really is pretty.
And each color of quinoa has a slightly different flavor and texture. So the white quinoa is really light and fluffy. It pretty much takes on any flavor. The red's a little nuttier, chewier, and then the black is more earthy, but very, very subtle, nothing overpowering. But besides it being pretty, it adds a little bit more fun for the palate.
And you can find that blended together already for you.
Yeah, so you can get each color individually, or they do have the tri-quinoa at Trader Joe's, Mariano's, all of the stores have it, that they're already mixed in together. And you cook it the same way. It's super, easy. Always rinse your quinoa before cooking it because it does have a toxic, not horribly toxic, but it has an outer layer called saponin, which is really bitter. And so you want to rinse that off before you cook it, and that'll reduce the bitterness, and you'll see the water will get a little soapy. That's that saponin coming off.
Okay, I have read that on that quinoa,
It's on
bag
the
or box.
package, yeah.
Rinse it off before you use it, so you
Yep.
want to do that for sure.
Yep, and you'll just follow the package ingredients. It's 1 cup quinoa to 2 cups water, boil, simmer for 15 minutes, and you're done. And one thing that I love to do is I make a big batch on Sunday night when I'm doing my meal prep for the week, or whatever night you're doing meal prep, is make extra, and you'll see why, because we're going to take it through breakfast, lunch, dinner, and use it in a variety of different ways. So it's good to have extra on hand. If you have dogs love quinoa, they can have it. It's totally safe, so put some in their bowl, and they'll love you for it.
No, dogs love quinoa.
They'll love you for it. So we're going to start with about 1/4 cup of quinoa for our bowl. And so this is the night before you're doing this. The night before you need this breakfast, you're just going to put in about 1/4 cup of quinoa and 1/4 cup of oats. So with a power bowl, you can do one grain or you can do a combination of grains. So we're going to do just raw rolled oats. You can use the steel cut. You can use, sorry, it's escaping me, the quick cook, either one that you want. I'm just using raw rolled. And again, if you don't really want to use quinoa, you can go with 1/2 cup of oats, or you can do 1/2 cup of quinoa. So it's very interchangeable. Again, however, whatever you have on hand works. And then I'm doing about 1/4 cup of canned pumpkin, because it's fall and pumpkin is just everything right now. And so this is another ingredient where you can use a smashed banana, you can use a nut butter, you can, again, no recipe where you can just kind of play with it. And so this is kind of our foundation here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3/4 cup of almond milk. You can use coconut milk, you can use flax milk, you can use regular milk if you're not plant-based. If you're making your own almond milk, that's awesome. And if you're not, that's awesome too, because there's so many great brands that you can get in the store. Just read the ingredients. If you watched last month's episode, make sure you're keeping it real.
And I have been doing that. I mean,
Have
it's
you?
amazing. Like, I was looking at different spaghetti sauces, and I was like, oh, you're right. I mean, some are just so loaded with sugar, and
you
I
don't
wasn't
even
doing
think
that
about
before.
it.
No. Now, would you say this recipe right now, how many servings would this be?
This will feed, depending on how much you eat and how you serve it, I would say this would feed two people if you're going to have a big bowl of it. If you do smaller portions like I'm going to show you, you can probably get 4 to 6 out of it. Again, it's just depending on how much you want. This is something that you have cold in the morning, so it's not a warming breakfast, but it's really hearty and really filling and really delicious. And if you like pudding.
Yeah, and it's really great that it's done in the morning. You just grab it out of the fridge. You don't have to think about it.
You don't have to think. Yeah. So in this bowl, I have a tablespoon of chia seeds, and I love chia seeds. This is not the first time I've talked about chia on the show. Chia seeds are just little seeds. They're filled with omega-3 fatty acids, and when they're mixed with a liquid, they do gel up and swell. So it helps give this porridge that pudding-like consistency that we're going for. And then I'm also going to use about 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And then this little ingredient here is our protein from our protein, the formula that I gave you. It's 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla protein powder. And so I'm going to get that extra protein. Now, quinoa has protein, but I want to add a little bit more. And I use the Garden of Life brand. It's on my document from last month's episode, The Kitchen Extras and Essentials. This brand that I love, it's completely plant-based, so there's obviously no dairy, there's no soy, there's no artificial ingredients. It's a little pricey. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it at Whole Foods. I get mine on Amazon because it's cheaper. And it's a great way to add extra protein if you are plant-based. Now, if you don't want to use protein powder, you don't have to. If you still want that vanilla flavor, you can just do about 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, or you can scrape a vanilla bean and get that same flavor profile without having to buy any fancy powder. But if you do want to try protein powder, the Garden of Life brand is great.
It smells good with that cinnamon in it.
Oh, cinnamon.
And it looks pretty, it's very fall looking.
It is.
With the pumpkin and the seeds and
yeah. And so you're just going to stir this and get it all really well combined. And this is really it, guys. I'm going to put a little bit of sea salt just because it'll brighten all the flavors. And then it looks like this. You want this kind of consistency. It's still runny, but there is a little bit of hold to it. And so then what you do, once you stirred this together, you just cover it up And we're gonna put this in the refrigerator. And again, you're doing this the night before. After about 20 minutes of it sitting in the refrigerator, you'll wanna give it one quick stir so that the chia seeds don't clump together. And then you re-refrigerate it and you don't touch it again until morning.
Nice.
And I've got one ready, so you'll see what it looks like.
What's nice is too, if you're using the quinoa for several recipes, it's just there. You know, you're just grabbing what you need for each recipe.
Yes. So
wow, it does really
mound up, right? Yes. So this is what it looks like. I haven't touched it since my last stir last night, and it's nice and thick and just like a delicious porridge. It's so, so good.
Wow.
And so one thing that you can do is you can eat it in a bowl like this, or I love pre-packaging it in these little tiny mason jars so that if you have a really busy morning or a busy day, you can take this as you're walking out the door and eat it wherever you are. Even as a snack, it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, a breakfast.
Right.
This can be a great mid-morning, afternoon snack. I like to always add the toppings to my Power Bowls, and I usually am eating it at home, not on the go. So two of my favorites for this are a little bit of maple syrup, drizzle that on, and some chopped pecans. Ooh, I love it.
It actually would make a nice lunch too. I mean, where you know, just can carry it with you.
Do you want to try it?
I do want to try it.
Here you go.
Right, look, it's just so cute.
Pumpkin pie vibes for breakfast. I love it. Let's see what Sue thinks, if she loves it as much as I do. It's kind of like dessert for breakfast, and who doesn't love that, right?
It is dessert. It's like pumpkin pie. I mean, it's really good.
But it's powerful pumpkin pie, so you're going to get a lot of power with that.
A little chewy, which is nice because then you feel like you're eating. It's just not going down.
Yep, and there's no cooking involved. Other than that quinoa that you've made in advance, you know, everything else is, you don't have to do anything with the oats.
Seriously, keep going. I'm just going to eat this.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to move on to our lunch. I'm glad you're loving it. I love it. This is a huge hit, and we make this in our house all the time. I actually do one with chocolate, a cacao and a cherry one, and it's very desserty.
I mean, it's just so good. And I like how you can change the flavor. This is pumpkin, which is great, but maybe you want to have banana or something else in it, just like you suggested. That would be great. And you got that little bit of topping on there with the crunch of the nuts that makes it really good too.
Yeah.
Super good.
Awesome. All right, so on to lunch. We're keeping it really simple. We're not even doing any cooking, so I feel bad even doing this on a cooking show, but I want to show you guys how basic this can be. So for lunch, we're going to have more of our delicious quinoa. Same quinoa, different way. And we're going to just put this in a bowl. Now remember, you made this already, so it's ready to go. You can bring this with you to lunch. Can have it for dinner too. It could be a dinner bowl for sure. And then we're just going to assemble it up. So that's our foundation, our quinoa. And then we're going to use some fun ingredients. Let's start with our protein because that's the next in the formula. So these are my chickpea crispies, and you can get this recipe on my website. So if you look at the Quinoa Pesto Power Bowl recipe, you'll get all of the actual how-tos with the chickpea crispies, the pesto we're going to use, and our pickled radish. But these are super quick, and I make these all the time.
Really?
This is a snack that is a go-to in my house. I like savory, so you just take a can of chickpeas, you drain them, rinse them, toss with olive oil, salt, pepper, and then roast in the oven 350 degrees for anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how crunchy you want them. And this is a great, you know, the Cubs are in the World Series, so this is a great snack to put out if you're having a party in place of potato chips or next to your potato chips. That's a little bit of a lot. But you can also do these sweet. So you can do it with honey and cinnamon and sugar and then roast them that way. So if you have a sweet tooth, it's a really high protein sweet treat. So we're going to put in our extra protein. This is total, I mean, quinoa and garbanzo beans together, you already have all the protein that you need. And then now we're just going to have some fun with our toppings. So I'm going to do a few just regular sliced radishes. Okay. And again, if you don't like any of these things, you can just swap them out.
Put what you do like in it.
Exactly.
These are such beautiful colors together too.
Right? I mean, they're just so pretty. We're going to do some sliced yellow bell pepper, really, really easy. I'm going to do some avocado here, because yum. Some good healthy fats and some green. to go along with our pesto. And then extra green, because I love my greens, I'm going to do some microgreens here, just right there.
And what are those little?
So microgreens are
Look like
exactly what they're
clover
called for.
from the
Yeah, they're just tiny greens. So they have as much, power as regular full-size greens, but they're tiny and they look so cute.
And you find these at the same places, like you would find that like a Whole Foods type.
Yep, and you can definitely find them at Mariano's as well if you shop there.
That's good.
And then now for my quick pickled radishes. Now I love quick pickling things. You don't have to boil the water, you don't have to do any of that. All you do is you mix a 1/4 cup of vinegar with a 1/4 cup of water, a tablespoon of sugar. I used maple sugar, but you can use any kind of sugar that you have, and a little bit of salt. And then you add your sliced radishes, or you can do onions or carrots or any kind of veggies that you want to pickle. And you let them sit for about 10 to 30 minutes. And the longer they sit, the more potent they become. So if you don't like them really strong and pickly, eat them right away. But if you don't mind it, then go ahead and let them sit as long as you like.
Okay,
I love them
these
pickly.
are radishes. Now, did you take the skin off?
Nope.
No, because they look so different.
Yeah, these are the exact same radishes here. So I just sliced, some are raw, some are pickled, but it's just because they've been pickled that it alters their appearance a little. But these toppings, you can see, it's just so fun because it adds so much color.
It does,
and
it's beautiful.
Texture, and you're gonna get just a bunch of variety. And then I'm going to add some of my homemade pesto. You can buy store-bought pesto, which is really simple, but this is just as simple. I promise you it takes no more than 5 minutes. I take one package of basil, I take off the stems, put my leaves in my food processor, I add a couple handfuls of spinach, about a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil, depending on the consistency that you want. I do about a 1/4 cup of pine nuts, and then 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, and that's it, and some salt. And then you just whiz that up, and you've got your pesto. So it's so easy. You can put this over pasta, you can have it do a savory oat. That's a great bowl if you do like a savory oat and do some pesto on that. And then you just put that, and that's your sauce for this bowl. And look how pretty. That's it.
It is beautiful.
So we have 2 beautiful, one thing else I forgot is my chia, because you guys know I love chia. Sprinkle that on. Looks so fun, the little specks of black, I think. Maybe some people think it looks creepy, but I like it.
It does not look creepy. I mean, can you see these bowls?
Can you see them?
I mean, they're really beautiful.
Right? Just all of the color and the texture.
And that's your lunch.
And that's your lunch. And it's no longer than 15 minutes total for everything. Because if you have your quinoa going, if you have your chickpeas roasting, while you're making your pesto and your radishes are pickling, it really doesn't take more than 15 minutes.
No, it wouldn't have. Plus, if you're somebody who does the garbanzo beans and you've always kind of got some, it seems like you're just kind of throwing them into whatever you like, and that makes it good too.
Yeah, and you don't have to roast them. You can just do them straight from the can. There's no need to do that, but I like that extra crunch, adding that texture. One of the very first Power Bowls that the way that I got hooked on these actually was I would do a Mexican like Fiesta Bowl, which you can actually get on my website, that recipe. And I would do brown rice, black beans, corn, avocado, pico de gallo, lime juice, cilantro, and it's so quick and easy. I mean, it's really just throwing it all in a bowl, but you can do it any way. You can use cannellini beans and sun-dried tomatoes and artichokes to give it a more Italian flair.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
too.
and play around with grains. You know, grains are so great because they're really easy. They're so versatile. You can do millet or amaranth. Don't be afraid when you see them in the store. Try them out. They always have the how to prepare them on the package. And they're all pretty basic. You kind of just boil them, then let them simmer until they're fluffy. And they're really a great way to kind of stretch your meal and bulk everything up so you're nice and full.
Would you say there's a big difference in the flavor or consistency between, say, a quinoa and a millet? I mean, would you choose one for taste over another, particularly if you were making something, you know, like maybe the quinoa works better with this, but the millet works better with this? Or is that strictly a taste?
There's definitely a taste difference. So millet is a little bit nuttier. I love millet. It's more of the consistency of a couscous maybe. It's a little bit, I would say, chewier than quinoa. Quinoa is very, very bland. There's not a lot of flavor. So they each do have different textures, and if you're using something like wheat berries, they're really chewy. So, you know, depending on what you want from your bowl, you'll select a grain based on that, but you can use any grain for any bowl, just up to you.
It's just, so experiment a little with what you like.
Yeah, and if you know you just want to get started and you're comfortable with brown rice or you know a whole grain rice, you know, start with that. Oats are obviously great in the morning, but yeah, those are some of the greatest things about grains, is that you can use them in so many ways, and they're kind of interchangeable in a way.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Yeah.
And yes, I am going to try this. I mean, first of all, I really have to try this pickled beets, because they just don't look like, I mean, I don't know if you can see how orangey they are.
They're really pink. They're really strong because I had them overnight. But here's the other thing about the Power Bowl. It's really great when you kind of get a piece of everything.
That's what
because
I'm
that's
do.
what it pulls together. So if you take the radish with the pesto, with the it all kind of comes together.
I'm going to try and do a little bit of that.
A little bit of everything. So good, right? It's like a party in your mouth.
This is really kind of chewy too.
Those are chewy now because I actually did make them yesterday. So if you want them really crispy, you'll serve them right away. If you have them sitting for a day or two, they're gonna get a little bit softer and chewier.
This is delicious. And you know, I just feel like you're doing something really good for yourself when you're doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, truly, you're gonna start a real conversation in your workroom if you're eating this.
They're gonna think you're fancy.
And you're right. You know, I like that pickled beet by itself, but when you add it to everything, it kind of gives it a little zest.
It like brightens it up.
It does, and the pesto is delicious.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome.
We got 2 hits. We're on to number 3, and we will be back with that in a minute. Okay, we are back, and I will admit some of the in-between time has been filled with eating. So it was pretty good. So now we're going to move on to the next thing that we're going to eat.
We're going to have dinner now.
Dinner.
So we're going to do a quinoa tahini bowl with roasted veggies.
Tahini, okay.
Tahini, that's what we're going to use as our sauce. So this is so simple. It's another go-to of mine, of course, because that's what I'm showing you. Everyone always asks, like, what do you really eat in a day?
Right.
This is really what I eat. And it looks way more complicated than it is, and once you guys try the recipes, you'll see.
It's not.
None of this is more than 15 minutes except roasting the veggies, but you don't really have a lot of work to do with that. You can be doing other things, laundry or whatever, while they're roasting. So for this bowl, we're going to use that same formula. We're going to do a base of our quinoa, our golden ingredient today, and we're just putting it in our bowl. If you don't want cold quinoa, you can warm up your quinoa, or you can just let it sit out room temperature if you made it in advance. And then we're going to layer the other half of the bowl with just mixed greens. So this is going to be a little bit more like a dinner salad. Any greens that you like, if you want to have arugula, if you want to do spinach, if you like doing this color combo lettuce that I love because it's, again, gorgeous.
It is pretty.
You can do that. And then, really simple. So, roasted potatoes are my jam. I eat them more than I probably should. But this is just a combination of sweet and regular potatoes that you cut up.
Oh,
you
both.
toss with olive oil, salt, pepper, roast. That's it. Very, very basic. And I'm going to show you a really cool trick at the end on how to make actually a third meal with these ingredients.
Okay.
So we're just going to put in some of our potatoes.
And I mean, great colors again.
Beautiful colors.
Which
And
makes
fall.
it, you know, visually, it makes you want to eat it because it is pretty and I don't know, inviting.
Yeah, well, we eat with our eyes first. So for sure, if it looks good, you're going to be like, can I get a bite of that?
Right.
No doubt. So that's that. We're going to do some raw onion just because it's, again, pretty and it's going to add that fresh crunch. When you're doing your toppings, I love to mix kind of a combination of raw and cooked because I think that gives just two different, you know, flavor profiles and textures when you take a bite. So you can do that. When you're doing toppings too, have fun. You can do apples and, you know, a good roasted squash if you want another fall variation, but don't think that it has to just be veggies. You can do fruits, you can do herbs, you can do, like I said, sun-dried tomatoes and olives and, you know, different toppings like that. So have fun. And then seeds, pumpkin seeds, because we're in the fall and we gotta use our pumpkin seeds.
We do, this is it.
So just sprinkle those on.
It's pretty.
And then here's my tahini sauce, and this is a spicy tahini dressing. Again, this recipe will be on the website and at the station.
Okay.
So tahini, are you familiar with tahini?
Only as putting it into making hummus. I've done that.
Yep. So that's basically what most people know about tahini, is that it is an ingredient in most hummuses. But tahini is just ground up sesame seeds. So it's kind of like how peanut butter is ground up peanuts. This is just ground up sesame seeds. And it's super high in protein and it's super high in iron, so it's great for anybody that's following a plant-based diet. And what I do to make my dressing, because, and this could actually use a little bit more water if you wanted it more, you know, a little runnier for a dressing consistency. I like it thick, I like it creamy like that. But it's just 2 tablespoons of tahini, which you can get at most stores now, and then 3 tablespoons of warm water. That's what thins it down. Oh. And then I also do the juice of 1 whole lemon, so that'll also thin it a little bit more and give it that little bite. And then I also just do a little garlic powder, a little salt, and because I like things spicy, I do some cayenne pepper. So again, no ingredient. You can really change your spices, leave it out. You can just do the lemon and the tahini and water combo. Or, you know, have fun. You can even make a peanut butter sauce, very similar if you're doing an Asian style bowl, where you can thin down your peanut butter and make a peanut sauce. That's a good idea. So you can use a lot of these principles, you know, across the board with different kinds of nut butters and ingredients.
Okay, now it seems to me when the tahini was used with making hummus, it was more of like an oil-looking kind of thing. This looks different than what I recall.
So when you open up most nut butters or a tahini, there's that oil on the top. So it's really, really oily. You have to really stir it. And that also prevents, if you've ever gotten to the bottom of a nut butter or tahini butter jar and you haven't stirred it, you'll know it's like rock solid because the oil hasn't gone all the way through. So you're probably thinking when you first open it, that's what it is. But yes, if you stir it really good, it has just the consistency of a creamy nut butter or peanut butter.
All right.
And then, you know, you can thin that down, like I said, with water so that it's a little bit more drizzly and spreadable and pourable. And then you just top your salad, and that's it. It's just a regular old delicious salad, but it is loaded with power. Wow.
That is very beautiful.
Okay, so one quick thing that I want to show you guys, because this is another go-to in my house. And you guys know that I love a good veggie burger because we did black bean burgers before.
Delicious.
But let's say this is dinner tonight and now you need dinner tomorrow and you've got your leftover quinoa and your leftover veggies that you've roasted, right? So you've got these leftovers. All you need to do is take some of your roasted veggies, and you can use squash, you can use parsnip, you can use any kind of root veggie that you like, and you're just gonna mash them. I'm gonna try and do this a little quick in a small amount. We're not gonna actually make the whole thing here. But you'll just mash your roasted veggies down, like a mashed potato kind of thing. And then you're gonna add in some quinoa that you have left over. And you're just gonna combine this really quickly. You can add a little bit more salt. And you just want it to kind of stick together. And then, get a little bit messy here, and you take your mixture and you just make a patty. Oh, this doesn't look as pretty because I'm doing it quick. But then you can fry these, or you can bake them and get them nice and crispy, and you can top them on your salad, or you know, put the greens on top, or you can make little burgers. But you can just make little patties and they hold together really nicely. When you fry them or bake them, they're crispy and it's like a smashed potato burger. And
that looks really good.
Right. So you take the same things that you already have made and you have a whole nother dinner with a whole nother flavor profile and texture.
Right, that's a great idea. Very good.
Yeah. So that's that. So those are our power bowls. That'll take you breakfast, lunch, dinner through the day, keep you feeling full and powered up and energized and amazing.
I mean, and they're delicious, really. And we will sample this when we're all done with, just to see what dinner is all about. It looks wonderful. And it is, you know, Vicki does make it look easy, but I think it actually is easy. So, I mean, don't be tricked by, oh, she, you know, can do this in a whiz because she does it all the time. I actually think this is not that complicated and you could do it. It's just getting the idea and taking the time to prepare a little bit ahead of time and having those ingredients all set so you can put something good for you, good for your family, together in short order.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, there's so many different takes on this. You can do a pizza bowl with a marinara sauce, and kids will love that one. But yeah, it's not really hard. It's just thinking about it, and I've got a bunch of suggestions, like I said, on the documents that you can get from the station on VickiMarquez.com, and have fun cooking, guys.
Yeah, it is. We need to spend more time in our kitchens. Actually, now that it's the fall, winter, we do have more time to spend in the kitchen, and it is fun to experiment a little bit. And we do kind of like to hunker down and be warm and cozy at home. And we've got these nice things to keep us energized, so when we need to shovel that snow, we've got the power to do it.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Vicki.
Of course, thank you guys.
And check her website out and see what that's all about. She's got a million great ideas and recipes, I think things that you'll enjoy. And if you ever need to get a hold of her and you want to find out what she has to offer to you, if you have some questions or some concerns that you need some help with, she's there to do that for you. So I think that information is on your website too.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can go ahead and do that. And I thank you for watching us. And go out there and cook something good. You're not even really cooking, you're just combining.
Just combine.
You can do it.
Nourish your belly.
Exactly, and yourself. Thanks for watching us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Vicki.
Yeah.
This just looks so, it's amazing.
I know.
And delicious.
It's really good.
There's nothing that isn't wonderful about it.